Bonjour. I'm Annie Humphrey, and you are listening to Native Americana Audio Cafe.
All right, Annie, this is my magic radio.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like if they say if you take a seashell and put it to your ear, you hear the ocean. But this radio, if you put it to your ear, you hear a Native Americana, kind of an underground beat, off the grid kind of a thing, you know. And so that's what I got it tuned in today, and that's how you came up on the dial. You know?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Hi.
your
I'm
name
glad you
came
found
up.
me.
Yeah, your name came up here, and I guess that's what, I don't know, it just pops in every day. I just kind of dial it in, and some native artist or some supporting artist or some cool artist comes up. And so, good morning. Tell everybody where you're at.
Oh, I'm on the Leech Lake Reservation in northern Minnesota.
And where is that? And like, is it by Lake Superior, in the middle of the state?
It's in the middle of the top half.
Middle of the top half?
Yeah, middle of the top half, Minnesota.
So, Annie, the last time I seen you, we were here, or the Rife Center.
Yeah, the Rife. Yeah, I got one of them.
And we did a concert together, and it was sure a lot of fun. It was before everything kind of changed.
Yeah.
Right at the change of things, and the quarantine and the isolation thing, and that's what we're going through now.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing?
Well, you know, I don't feel like we really changed how we do things, because kind of our family's got this little circle anyway, Keith, and like no strangers come down my driveway, except you that one time. But really, you know, it's really a small circle. And then we have a lot of space around us. And then the traveling out to do stuff on tribal land is okay. So like we never got stopped from doing the Sugarbush. We don't get stopped. Like today we're going to go look for fish. So on the tribal lands, we can go and in the woods and do our things still. So that's kind of what we do as a family anyway. But when I do go to town, my daughters, they're like, put your mask on, put your gloves on, Mom. Don't come home unless you know, all this. So.
You said Sugarbush. Tell people what that means and what that is.
Oh, well, I can show you really quick. Hold on.
Okay. So Annie's showing us what Sugarbush is.
Well, this is what we make at Sugarbush. This is maple syrup, and we tapped about 125 taps, and because the amount of people that run the camp is so little, it's actually just me and my kids, and so we can handle that many taps. And then we boil it out in the woods until all the snow melts, and then the National Forest folks tell us we can't boil out there anymore because the snow is gone, which makes sense. And then we start bringing it home, and we boil, and you boil. So the trees will give off sap, and it takes like 30 gallons of the tree sap, and we boil out the water, and we just keep feeding it firewood and feeding it until we get all the way down to syrup. And then I bring it into my house, and I put it on the stovetop, and we clean it and can it. And we're just finishing up that season.
So that's what the Sugarbush means to people out there, because this will go all over, and people don't know what that is, you know, and so.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's really awesome to be able to make your own food, you know, Keith. Like when sometimes we eat dinner and my kids they'll say, hey, we got this rice and we got this deer meat and we got vegetables from, it's really cool. So actually a goal of mine is to, you know, a couple days a week, everything on the table has to come from what we got, you know. It's pretty cool.
I like that goal. How about your music, Annie? Let's talk about it a little bit about your background.
Well, my background, I grew up in a house. My mother is a visual artist, and my dad was the singer, guitar player guy. And so my dad, his buddies would come over at night, and they'd all play like these old country songs, like 4 old guys in our kitchen playing songs. So we always had live music, which is really cool. And then my mom is a poet. And I don't know, I just started trying to write my own poetry to kind of be like her. And then I start trying to play chords. I don't know. And I think it was the combination of them, you know, that helped me even to consider, you know, trying to play music. And I think that that's one thing, Keith, that if kids don't get exposed to that, they don't know it's something they could do, you know, like I got a piano because my dad worked at the Indian Health Service, and the doctors can pay off like their student loans by working at a hospital, at whatever, a BIA place. So we had this young family come in, and they had this old upright piano, and the doctor's next stop was like Puerto Rico. So he said, I can't take the piano, you know, does your family want the piano? And my dad said, yeah. So he dragged this big upright piano into the house, and I was probably like in kindergarten. And then, so that's when I started like mimicking what I heard on the TV, or trying to play melodies I'd heard on the radio. And so I feel like if kids don't have that, then how can they know? You know, so I was really lucky that I was able to have access to a piano and a guitar and a mom who wrote poetry and a dad who would sing songs, you know, so I was pretty fortunate.
Do you remember what age you were when you learned your first 2 chords?
Yes, I was in 3rd grade and I learned E, A, and D.
All right.
Yeah.
Next time you got to say, I learned D and A, the chords of life.
Oh yeah, D and A.
But we've played a lot of music all over, you know, some stories and things we've done. We've done so much activism for people and for women's causes and for the pipelines and water activism. Just talk a little bit about activism and music.
Yeah, I think that activism and music can be like so one and the same. And in my own experience, you know, for me, I always found that when I got more involved in like the groundwork of activism, you know, like organizing and showing up at places, and I always felt like I stopped doing the music because that took over. So for me, I feel like, yeah, I think I got to stick into the music part and write about stuff that helps people, you know, not be activists, but kind of self-reflect type thing without preaching or pointing a finger kind of thing, to try to get people to think about what, I don't know, you know, Keith, it seems like some people don't think about what's happening, right? They're not coherent about what's happening here. And like lately when people ask for a bio or something that I want to introduce myself, whatever, I always add in now that I don't push formal education on my kids. I would rather have them learn how to live without Walmart.
Tell us about the expression, be the best of who you are.
Well, gosh, it's a very hard thing to do. I can't do it, but you know, I think that without getting too deep is that we all, okay, so here's this new thought I've had, Keith, and I don't know if we want to put this out into the rest of the world, but I think that I'm God and you're God, and we are all pieces of God, right? And so I actually wrote a song about like, I pray to myself because God's in me, right? So I feel like that makes each of us got to be really responsible and accountable and pay attention to that best, right? I mean, because we have to be trying. We can't just say, okay, I have all the sacred stuff, so I am okay. But we have to exchange energy with things. Like even this stuff, you know, we have to get it out of the tree and say prayers and offer tobacco to the tree, and it's going to give us this gift, and everything's an exchange. You and me are exchanging, and I don't know, I think that if people, and me included, just be more mindful of our spirit because we are so much spirit, we don't really think about that. I forget about it too, that, you know, we're these little human beings and we have our intellect, and that's not much bigger. And then we have the spirit, which is, you know, all of that energy in between ourselves. It's a real thing. And I think inside of us is our best self. And that's why I got this tattoo. So people who know me are like, oh, she just got a new tattoo. And I didn't. It took me a couple years to get my husband to agree to let me. Yeah, I was like, Todd, I want a tattoo on my face. He, no. So finally, he was like, all I had is your face. And so we're in our head too much, right? And I got it from my kids. Don't be in your head too much. We have to, the longest journey, right? They say is from here to here. Can you see it on there? And that's what I'm symbolizing here. Our longest journey is from here to here. And my adult kids, you know, who are, you know, they're navigating their way through life. Hopefully it'll help them remember that.
They call that the heart line.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's the longest journey to the soul.
Yeah.
Annie, how about your new album? You're getting a lot of buzz. I hear a lot of good, I see reviews and people getting it all over. It's coming out. I'm excited for it. You know, I was excited and honored to be part of it.
Yeah.
And we had Jeremy on Friday, and he showed us one of his tattoos on his arm that you finished or something like that. And so that's a good lead in to your album.
Oh, hey, here, I did this tattoo on myself. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's a water flower, there's wild rice, there's blueberries, and the medicine yarrow. Yeah, I try to put up. I don't know if it's legal to be giving tattoos, so I don't know about all that either.
I didn't say that then. But how about, can you sing us a song?
Yeah, let me see if I'm tuned up. So one of the only songs on the record on guitar is about my son. But I'm finding that, you know, a lot of people can relate because, you know, if you have adult kids, it's kind of, and if you feel them going in the wrong direction, right, it's hard to like not tell them what to do. You kind of just gotta wait and let them figure it out, even though they put themselves through a hard detour. Stop me if it doesn't sound okay. I'll take the blame for all your pain, 'cause you can't seem to give it to the rocks.
I can hear you.
Maybe we could climb the mountain and leave it at the top, then just fly back down. 'Cause little by little every day, for some reason you gave your power away. I'm getting old, you're still my son, and my prayer for you is still the same one. Eyes and your words are weapons now, used against the ones who won't fight back. They have daydreams about your power coming back, and you ain't a storm. They gotta brace themselves for no more. I'm getting old, you're still my son, and my your pain becomes fire in your eyes, reflecting a brilliant sunrise. Put down your tobacco and say a prayer. Then just go from when you leave your pain and blame up on the mountain, I promise never to sing this song again. I remember you. Do you remember you too? I remember. Do you remember too?
Here's your phone. That's all right. Like when people say, when you sing, something comes through you, and it does, and that's beautiful for us to see. Tell a little bit about the album that you have out right now, and how we can get a hold of it.
Well, it's on Bandcamp, and I think you just type Annie Humphrey and go to Bandcamp, and or CD Baby. That's another distribution deal. Or I've been mailing people, people that don't do that digital thing. They message me through Bandcamp, and I just mail them out. So do that too. And yeah, I don't know where else it is, if it's out in that system of music. What do you call it? Spotify or whatever. I don't know where it's at. I'm so bad. Because, Keith, it's really weird. People will ask that question about, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have any. I say I have no vision or ambition. I have no
idea. Annie, it's very much traditional Anishinaabe, in fact that you're reacting in the environment you're in, and how you picked your musicians for this last album. It was all great local native musicians, and tell us about that, the making of the album.
Well, I didn't have much money. I paid for it myself, so I had to be really prepared going into the studio. And so Jeremy and Adrian Liberty, who's a drummer from Leech Lake, I kind of sent them, I went and made demos at Rich's place, and then I sent them out, and we had to get there prepared. And the making of it was we get in the control room, Keith, and I don't know if I'm going too deep, but we'd go into the control room. I'd have Rich pick a song, play it, and the guys would sit there and talk a little bit, and then we would just go out in the big room and do it. So the record Eat What You Kill is kind of live, you know, because we would just get out there and all three of us just play from the big start to end. And then later on, Jeremy came back and he laid down more guitar parts, or he added in other keyboards, or Jeremy produced it. So, and I was just talking to my daughter about the record and how much he turned it into, like, I don't know, he turned it into a spirit experience, you know. I mean, it's the guitar and like the haunting stuff, and even when it gets really intense, he makes it like chaotically intense, you know, where other musicians, oh, they don't want to hit them sour notes, you know, but he's just like, he's so like, just, you know, all over the place. You know how he is. And then, so that was really cool. And then I knew you were going to be going up to Evelyn, and I told Rich, you know, because you were going to go do some recording there where I was recording. And I told Rich, just show Keith stuff, just show it to him and he'll do something. And yeah, so I didn't have anything to dictate or even suggest, you know. I knew you would go in and hear something, and I knew you added flute and you added this cool vocal to Home. And then David Huckfelt played on it too. And then Cody Blackbird, I met him at the NAMMYs, just a nice young man. And so he does some singing on The Resistance. That's the song on the record.
Oh, well, geez, Annie, it's really nice to talk to you. It's kind of you know, a real different portal, or kind of learning adaptation, and things are changing, you know, and any words of encouragement and how we get out of this, and things that you'd like to say to people?
Well, I don't know about everybody else, but personally, I tried to reuse plastic anyway, but lately, you know, saving tinfoil, sewing up my own shoes. Because you know, we're so, what is that called? We're so disposable. We live in this disposable world now. And if you can't get out and buy everything, you know, we just gotta take care of what we got. And I think it's bringing people kind of closer, even though physically further, but closer. And I think people are concerned about different things now. And I hope that most of that sticks when this is all over. But you know, I'm not worried about nothing, Keith. I'm not worried about anything. You know, I don't know. It'll be okay. It'll either be okay or it'll be okay. And I know I should get a tuner someday. I've never had a tuner. I play out of tune all the time. And
Jimi Hendrix said only cowboys play in tune anyway. So.
Oh, okay, good.